is Ruel's Running Podcast, a podcast about running, health, family, play, and an NSNG lifestyle. And now, here's your host, Ruel.
Excuse me as I rock on. That's Went Away by Dorothy Lane. Dorothy Lane out of Martinez, California. That's out of the Cut and Dry album. Check them out at dorothylanemusic.com. Yeah. Hey everybody, welcome. It's Ruel's Running Podcast. I'm your host, Ruel Abadam. What's up? This is a podcast about stuff in my world, but I do want to know if you want to share what's going on in your world. If you are a new listener, yeah, every now and then I'll talk a little bit about run-related stuff. My running, I'm not a podcast that, or this is not a podcast that reports a whole lot about other people's running or other events. Sometimes I might, but big fat might. I do talk a whole lot about family stuff, in the spirit of play, and sometimes in the spirit of health, nutrition, basically food, how it may serve you and also not serve you. If you are a return listener, what's up? So, new folks, what's up? Return folks, what's up? That's up, blah. So yeah, what's up? New listeners, I'm on the go. That's all of that. That's the noise that you hear. Interesting. So, I'm actually... What the hell is that? That's chocolate. Why is there chocolate? You know what? I'm driving, right? And I can't stand this when... I guess I'll just hop into my first topic. First topic, I've just decided it's going to be family related. Put my phone down. And as I rummage through my stuff looking for wet wipes. So wet wipes, and that's going to tie into the topic. We have wet wipes because I have kids, my wife and I. We, not you, me, and you, the listener. Not me. Lonnie and I don't have kids together. Or Mark Thompson and I don't have kids together. Or Rebecca Paulson. Hi, what's up, Rebecca? So, let's see. We have wet wipes because we have kids. It's sort of like, you sort of carry on that tradition of just have wet wipes because you need to wipe something wet. And I think it's kind of silly to have wet wipes, but right now I'm thankful that we do have wet wipes because I just touched, I think it was a chocolate chip morsel sitting on the front passenger seat of the car. Someone was eating a chocolate chip cookie at one point in time, dropped a chocolate chip onto the seat, and it was harmless until the 90-degree temperatures melted it, and it didn't turn into mush. It kept its form until I decided to touch it and think, what is this? So it's my fault. I shouldn't have touched it. I should have just left it there. Kids, man. Mess. The cars, the vehicles, whatever, it's not like we're rolling in cars, but a car or two. Before my wife and I got married, we did live together, so, we weren't traditional, whatever tradition is, as far as living with your girlfriend, and basically operating like you are married, but not married. We both, we lived together before marriage, and, she had a vehicle and I had a vehicle, right? And we took care of those vehicles. I don't know, maybe once a week or maybe every other week, depending on, how things are. And we would just take it to the car wash and have pay a little extra for some sort of extra detailing and cleaning. And we kept that interior clean as well as the exterior. That's what people do. But man, when you start having kids, you know what? That goes all out the window. You just want to hold on to your sanity and make sure that the kid's taken care of, and then you just sort of let things slide. Next thing you know, the vehicle's full of toys and crumbs and whatever. And then I'm sure there are stains here in the bottom of this vehicle that were created years ago, but they just become part of the feature of the interior of the vehicle. What's going to happen is someone with like white pants is going to sit down and they're going to get up, and those white pants are going to be brown pants. And the chocolate is sitting in the crease of the stitch of the upholstery. You know how when the upholstery in the vehicle has little dips because that's where the stitching is at? So now I'm having to wipe it like I'm wiping the ass of some ass to try and get the Klingons out of the freaking asshole of the ass. And I did a good job. That's one clean asshole of a chair. Yeah. All right. That's a good start of the show. I'll be back. All right. I'm back. So, the first week of school has wrapped up, right? Yippee! Before the week started, my son had his birthday, as mentioned in the previous episode. He had a great birthday, and it was a great weekend. First week wrapped up, and all is well. We know who the teachers are. We've met with all the teachers. Some teachers, one of the teachers is a familiar face and a familiar teacher who's taught our oldest at that grade. And so now what that means is just kind of getting familiar with the routine again, the way getting up in time to meal prep, get the kids ready, have them get breakfast should they want breakfast, and getting them to where they need to be so that they can get to school on time, and making sure that my wife gets to hit her commute on time. And what it means for me is that I'll get to actually have a little bit of focus on me time, which is awesome. I think I do most of my best thinking when I'm actually able to have time to think on my own without having to worry about everybody else. The past summer was tough, as I've mentioned in previous episodes. It was basically daddy's summer day camp. I had to take care of the kids and work from home for the most part, and it was tough, really tough, to be able to do that. It's not, working from home isn't working from home when you're so used to working in an office setting. It's not what you think it is. When I suppose if it's just you, like let's say I had to work from home because the kids had nowhere to go for summer, no one was going to watch them, so I would be home watching the kids, except that I didn't have kids, so that really doesn't make any sense to be home watching kids that you don't have yet or have. So basically, bottom line is, if you work from home and all you have is yourself, then it's probably really awesome. I remember once in my career when I lost the job, I got laid off because the dot-com bubble hit, and layoffs were happening left and right, and eventually it caught up to me after having, made it through several rounds of layoffs over a period of time. But eventually it hit me, and I had to go, So I was cooped up in my apartment in the middle of a work day, scouring the job board, scouring other websites, and just trying to, put my name out there and apply for positions. Basically, I was working to find a job. I was working to find work. That was my job at that moment in time. But it was just me in the apartment. My wife was still working, but we weren't married yet. She was at her job. So just me in a lonely apartment. And yeah, there was a lot of freedom. I didn't have to worry about anybody else. I could have, just went out for a run. I could have decided to get the vehicle washed. I could have, I don't know, learned how to crochet or something, or knit. But yeah, got 3 little ones. Working from home, yeah, it's a lot to juggle. Unless you're a deadbeat and you're like, you know what, just stay in that room and go ahead and play with your iPads. Here's a bag of Cheetos, you're taken care of. No, that's not what I'm going to do, right? But I've already covered sort of what the details were around how I watched and took care of the kids and made sure that they were doing things productive on top of, still trying to enjoy the summer, right? Yeah, so back in the full swing of things, maybe I can start thinking about what that next run is going to look like for me, what the next long run is going to be. I need to do that. I do need to get in shape. I'm out of shape, to be honest. And, I've said to myself, I really don't care, right? And that's not a good place to be when you don't care about what condition you're at. But sometimes we know when your mind is not right, you're just going to make that call. And then, you can shift your thinking. Now, hopefully I'm going to approach that shift in thinking and start to focus on, getting back into shape. Yeah. And I realized that things happen in waves. There are waves, there are periods of me that are truly optimized and fit and feel great about my conditioning and my weight or whatever. And then there are other days there's like, F it. F it. What's wrong with a little bit of man boob and love handles? Huh? What's a little bit of jiggle on your wiggle? So what? I can't keep my jeans zipped because they keep spreading wide open and my zipper keeps getting undone. So what? Just a little ventilation. Ventilation. Yeah. Do you need a website? If you're an individual, a consultant, a group, or small business and need a site, or maybe you have an existing site, I can help. How about graphic design? Do you need a design for a t-shirt, logo, product, business cards? Maybe you need help with designing and developing a brand. I'm not an expert, but I do have the tools and the techniques to get the job done. How about a podcast? Yep, like this thing. This thing's a silly little show. Are you looking to set up a podcast of your own? Are you looking to reach an audience? Promote your business via podcast? Well, Abadam Studios. That's right, Abadam Studios. Yeah, so that's Abadam Studios. AbadamStudios.com, AbadamStudios.com. Check it out. I'm back. Ruel's Running Podcast. Speaking of kids, speaking of the truck. Did I say the truck? Vehicle. Well, speaking of coming back from summer, I think it was day 2 of school for the kids. Since my youngest has a different schedule than the other 2, I gotta do this drop off. The other 2, they get to school however they get to school, but I gotta do this drop off. And so on this particular morning, I take my daughter, get her in the vehicle. I have a vehicle out on the driveway. It's an SUV, and put her in the back seat, put her on her booster. Cool, right? And I open up the driver's side door, and I see basically some garbage on the driver's side seat. And when I say garbage, I'm not talking about somebody's milkshake cup and a cereal box and toilet paper, plastic wraps, things that or a cheeseburger wrapper. It's just a couple of snack bags, the zip type snack bags. Not so much big enough for the sandwich, but small enough for little snacks. And what those are used for is, in the morning, I'll make my wife 2-3 slices of bacon that she can take on the go and munch on while she's on her commute. And so, she ends up with these snack bags that she'll tuck away on the side of the door. How does one side feel about? How does one part of me think about the fact that we had a vehicle intrusion, right? The fact that a vehicle had been forgotten to be locked, parked on someone's driveway, doesn't make it okay for anyone to walk up to it and just sit in it and take whatever they want, right? Could have been worse, yes. Part of me thinks that there was a little bit of and this is why I think that it could have been just teenagers. The intruder kind of drew a line as far as how far they wanted to take the fact that they're able to invade or intrude in the vehicle. One was, do you guys remember Voltron, Defender of the Universe? Netflix has it updated. Well, we have the Blue Lion in the vehicle. We have had it. Well, we still have it. And the Blue Lion, man. The Blue Lion was sitting right with everything else. That was sort of the intruder decided not to take the Blue Lion. Thank goodness, because if we don't have the Blue Lion, we can't form Voltron. And who's going to save the universe? So basically what I'm saying is, I think that it's a teenager, and that individual kind of drew the line of how far they wanted to take this activity. There's a toy or two in the vehicle. And if you look in the back seat, there's a booster seat, right? So what does that indicate? That we're in a vehicle of a family who has kids. And, I like to think that, draw a line. There's kids involved in this invasion, right? Invading this family's property. You can think of so many other ways to take it. We just take the vehicle. If you're really good at it, you can take the vehicle. Or you're going to take, other things. I don't know, or just maybe you're just a vandal. You just want to go in, and then you want to just defecate in somebody's truck. Knife up the upholstery. Who knows? Just do something really offensive just because you're a vandal, not just an intruder, but you're also just, and then put your dumbass gang lettering on stuff, just so that you have something to brag about, right? Fuckers. Yeah, there's a part of me that says, why need security? I could just maybe bait the next time, and just every now and then sleep in the back of the truck under a blanket, with a pistol in my hand. Nothing heavy, just enough to do damage. Maybe just a pellet gun, right? And then when and then I'll scare the intruder. Get on your knees, right? Take off your pants, bend over. Why? Oh, I'm sorry, man. Hey, man, don't point it at me. Why? Just take off your pants and bend over. Why, man? Why? No, please don't do this. What are you gonna do? No. Do you see this here? See this pellet gun? I'm gonna shoot you in the asshole, motherfucker. That'll get you thinking. You're gonna screw with me? Well, this little tiny pellet is gonna screw with you. Yeah, my original thought was it was going to be like a real caliber weapon, and I'm going to shoot somebody in the asshole and cause his asshole to sort of like explode, and then he'd have no way to shit, right? Other than, in his guts, in his abdomen, he would be shitting within himself. That's not good. So, yeah. If you want to intrude in somebody's vehicle and take their stuff, just think someone might be there wanting to shoot you in the asshole, and then you would not be able to take a proper shit without proper medical attention. So yeah, that's just one thought. I don't know. My wife is like, can't we buy booby traps? I was like, that's a great idea. And maybe it's already thought of. So if you message me if you know that where you can obtain easy to set up booby traps. Like go to some, like I'll go make like a giant mouse trap, for humans, bigger as big as a bodyboard, a boogie board, a surfboard, a skateboard. And ladies like skateboard size mouse traps all around the vehicle, cover it with some leaves. Some douchebag walks over, or some neighbor walking their dog who wants to shit in our yard and not clean it up, right? Walks over, snap! And like, really? That something like that really can't really be. I mean, it would hurt, but it wouldn't like damage you because it would just be too clumsy of a thing, right? Can you imagine the spring? You'd have to get like garage door opener coil type action, probably to be able to snap that oversized mouse type rat trap, unless you had teeth on the thing, right? It's like you didn't need to have like some serious spring action, just fast enough to cause those teeth to catch something and cause a little bit of damage, right? Do that. Catch something. That way. Haha, you're on my property. Boom. Gotcha, motherfucker. Now bend over. I'm gonna shoot you in the asshole. Pow! That's what guns sound like. It is pow! Click, click, pow! Not scary at all. Post pictures on Instagram and stuff. This is how you do it, Ring. You don't need just cameras and floodlights and a whole network with permission given to the police. You just gotta make these gigantic mouse traps and then shoot somebody in the butthole. Pow! That felt good to say. Hey guys, thanks for listening. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So, my oldest is at that age. My oldest son is at that age where, when I was his age, in school, when I was his age, I was in the 5th grade. And the boys in my class were told to go to the nurse's office, and what happened was the nurse told the boys that the following school year we would be going to middle school, or basically junior high, and that we all are at that age where we'd basically be going through changes. That's basically puberty. We would go through puberty, and what did that mean? We'd basically have to we would go through these hormone changes. We'd probably end up having to wear deodorant, antiperspirant type products, and we'd be getting zits and sprouting hairs where hairs are supposed to sprout at that age. So that was just an interesting sort of talk. It wasn't a talk that we would have had at home with parents. Probably didn't need to. Just sort of grew up around the older kids, and was as an individual, you're aware, like, oh, that guy has hair in his armpits or has a mustache, and that person has zits. And it was just sort of observed and understood. Those are the things that happens as you get older. Things like in general, you'll get gray hair, the older you get. Why are the old folks, why do they have gray hair? That's just what happens. So my son's at that age where he'd be getting that talk. I've already given him the talk at home. I didn't get it at home, I don't recall, but I gave the talk to him. And it's neat. I can see he's like getting these little bumps on the top of his nose, and that's just like baby zits. So you got to get that in check. He's getting there, and eventually what's going to happen is, when you have little kids and everybody's taking baths and having showers, and everybody's just like butt naked coming out of the shower, and getting wiped down and putting on their PJs or whatever, that kind of thing. He's gonna get to that age where he's gonna be more aware of his body, and I hope, he's gonna, want that privacy. He's not gonna run around butt naked, especially if he's sprouting like hairs and stuff. Nobody needs to see that. So, he'll just do what we all normally would do, and just, have that privacy and stuff. My wife said, I'll put this out there. My wife said she kind of overheard him talking to Alexa, asking Alexa what it meant. What does it mean to be turned on? And my wife was like, what did you say? And he's like, nothing. And he sort of tried to just avoid having to discuss it. So I'm going to have that conversation with him at some point. The birds and the bees. And it's kind of weird. If you're a parent with young ones, you're going to get there. You probably already figured out how you're going to deal with it. But, there are times where we're in a vehicle, the whole family, and, we have someone who's in kindergarten from a kindergartner all the way up to a fifth grader now. And the conversations with three of the kids are like, how does the baby come out when the baby's born? And don't want to get graphic, too descriptive, with the little girl in the conversation, and in there, and probably not ready for that. The third grader to hear it. They can all speculate. They can all imagine. Right now, they're thinking like the only place that makes sense for the baby to come out is through the butt. So babies are basically come out of the butt when you're a little kid. And the other option too is there's surgery. The doctor does surgery to remove the baby, right? So it gets kind of weird, but it's all normal. Kids, man. Hey everybody, I'm back. I don't do smack. I eat bacon and I drink my coffee. I add some cream and something that rhymes with coffee. Yeah. So, I just I came from the Home Depot, and I picked up some material, some items that'll improve my chances of having a successful installation of floodlights and surveillance cameras and things of that nature. I cannot wait. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an electrician. I was fascinated with playing with wires and batteries and motors and things like that. And sticking my tongue on a 9-volt battery and things like that. I think it stemmed primarily from, with me being fascinated with playing with things like that, which I picked up basically from, other kids in school who had little science projects. I just carried it on home for my own sort of enjoyment. And the adults around me, would say things like, "Oh, maybe you want to be an electrician when you grow up." No, that's not how my folks spoke. They just spoke. They spoke English. There wasn't. They weren't leprechauns. So I can't wait to set that stuff up and see what I can do. Moving right along. Yeah. The magic of information, things like YouTube and things on the internet, and all the how-to videos and things of that nature. What else do I want to talk about? Food. So, what's cooking, y'all? I don't know why that intro music to What's Cooking sounded like it started out sounding like a porn music, then ended up like a music from Seinfeld. So I've got some tri-tip steaks I'm excited to cook. That's just for the meal prep. But they're lovely cuts of steak. Never mind the whole grass-fed, Skittles-fed, any of that type of stuff. Just, I've got some beautiful steaks. I went to the market. This little piggy went to the market and was looking for some tri-tip steaks, already cut and packaged, barcoded, labeled, and there weren't any. And I didn't want to pick up any of the other cuts. I like the tri-tip. And so the meat guy, the butcher guy, his name was David. He took the time to educate me a bit on it. I mean, they had tri-tip roasts, and so I had the pleasure of watching him take a prepackaged tri-tip roast and open it up, and he walked me through how they would turn those into steaks, and he did it. He did that for me, and now I don't have to worry about, as long as there's a tri-tip roast, I don't have to worry that, oh, they don't have the tri-tip steaks. I've got to talk with the butcher. I can just pick up the tri-tip roast and make my own dang steaks. I don't know, maybe like a 2-inch thickness is kind of a nice thickness, and and all the little extra bits that come off of carving the steaks out of a tri-tip roast, I'm still going to use. I'm not, don't be silly. I'm not going to discard it and say, that's not going to make a nice steak. It's going to be delicious either way. It's meat. Meat's for heroes. Don't be a loser thinking that it's not, you loser. You be a winner. Eat your meat. Hold your meat. Hold your meat proud. Yeah. So, and when I cook it, it's just going to be simple. Hot iron pan and salt and pepper seasoning on the steaks, and just get a nice crust, I guess. Well, I don't know what you're going to call it. Nice sear on two sides, and nice and medium in the middle, yummy. But then for the rest of the family, I'll I'll do additional work to make sure that they get stuff that is a little bit more I'm more like a medium rare. My wife's more like a medium Noel, and so is same with my kids. So, I'll have my share. Yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff. So that's what's cooking. Steaks. Oh, on the side, there's a side. I get a bag of broccoli florets because sometimes if I buy like the broccoli, the crowns, or just broccoli, how it's like the organic broccoli, it's just majority stem, and I can eat stem, not a big deal. But my wife is more of the florets sort of thing, and you don't yield that much. So then I'm like buying just getting packaged, pre-cut broccoli florets, and it's just all florets. It's like not a bunch of waste with the stems. But yeah, whether it's pre-packaged florets or get the whole broccoli and I have to cut it down, now I'll just put it we've got a very small Instant Pot, and I'll do the steam setting. By default, it sets it to 5 minutes, but if you do 5 minutes of a steam on broccoli, that thing's going to turn to mush. You'll open it up after you let the thing vent, right? You manually vent it after it's done for 5 minutes of basically being pressure cooked. That you'll see the broccoli, but then when you try and pull it out, it's just gonna all fall apart. So I do 2 minutes. It gets a good steam, and then once that thing is done with its 2 minutes of getting to pressure and 2 minutes in the pressure cooker, and then I'll hit the release valve and let all that pressure out as fast as possible. And there's still a bit of a firmness on the broccoli where I can pick it up and it won't fall apart. It's just awful to get mushy broccoli. I mean, we have teeth, but I'll drain and I'll set that aside. And what I'll do separately on the stove on some sort of pot or saucepan is I'll get some fresh chopped garlic, and I'll get that going in some hot olive oil, just enough not to brown the garlic crispy, or burn it, because it just gets kind of bitter. It's just to infuse that garlicky flavor into that oil, and still have some nice soft garlic, fresh garlic in there, and then I'll just pour that goodness over the broccoli. All on a serving dish. Sprinkle some sea salt, and good to go. Delicious, yo. That's the meal prep. That's the side. Broccoli, with olive oil and garlic, and then those steaks. And I put the Kerrygold butter on that steak with salt and pepper, and it's just so good. That's it. And I've talked about it before, so it's nothing new. It's just, if you're new to the podcast, that's what's cooking. Yo. Aight. Alright, I'm back again. Where did I go? Hey, Ruel, why do you always keep going away and then coming back? Because that's the way I'm rolling. I don't have the luxury of a stretch of time sometimes to record. So I'll cut the recording and I'll come right back when I'm able to come right back. So, I'm trying to make it happen, and I guess in a way I don't want to make any excuses to not. I have things in my mind, and if I don't approach it this way, there's a good chance that it's just gonna be forgotten. So what's going on? Hey, you know what? I tweeted to Nintendo of America. Nintendo, video games, those guys. I remember when I was a kid, Mario Brothers. I totally forgot that Mario was a character in Donkey Kong. You guys remember Donkey Kong? Kind of like you're trying to get on every level, climb ladders, but this gorilla's throwing barrels at you and you gotta avoid it. Anyways, Nintendo, they're big, right? And I think they're like some of these other technology companies where they're so big that they don't give a rat's ass how they treat their customers, how they get you to buy stuff from them, but aren't crystal clear how you could basically enjoy the thing that you are purchasing. What are you talking about, Ruel? That doesn't make any sense. Let me put it this way. We go to Target and we buy what's essentially, and I think this is kind of like horseshit, you basically buy a barcode, right? And the barcode gets ringed up at the cashier. You pay your money, you get a receipt. Okay? So why are you buying a barcode? Right? Well, we're not buying a barcode for no reason. What we're doing is we're buying this piece of cardboard that says Nintendo Switch eShop full game download $19.95, right? So, okay. It resembles buying a gift card. You know what a gift card is, right? You get a gift card and it has a unique code or a set of numbers and letters, and when you ring up a gift card at the register and pay for it, you activate that card so you could actually use that card like you would any other sort of debit card, credit card. It has a value and it can be redeemed for whichever merchant is listed on that card, right? But here's the thing. This piece of cardboard wasn't a gift card. It wasn't. It didn't give you a card for you to hold on to, nothing. What it gave you, and we didn't find out later, because, buying habits right now, at least for us, maybe it is the same for you, is when you buy something like that, it's in the form of a gift card, right? And but instead, what this was you get a receipt and the code is on a printed receipt from that register. Who would have thunk it, right? So what happens when you toss that receipt? Because it happens, right? You toss that receipt, you have no code, right? So we get this thing. It's for a full game download for my son for his birthday, and he's so excited. This was one of the things he wanted, and I said, you know what? Go ahead and try and figure it out. Try to load up your game console with the game, and if you need help, I'd have to help you at a later time because I'm really busy with cooking or whatever the heck I'm doing. Long story short, when I finally get around to it the next day, there is no code. And it doesn't say anything on the little cardboard that, did you check your receipt for the code? No, it just says, enter your code. And we're like, what code? So what I do is I go on Google around, how do you find your code for these types of things? And from what I picked up was, sure enough, it's on the receipt. I'm like, man, that is so easy to lose. Sure enough, my wife discarded the receipt. So I called the Target. And I said, hey, this is what happened. I spoke with the guy at the electronics department. This is what happened. He said, no problem. Just go, assuming your wife made the purchase with a card, go to the customer service desk. They should be able to find the purchase in the system and reprint you the receipt, and you'll be good to go. Okay? So, okay, we do that. We get there. And they're like, it was a hassle. And supposedly, they finally found the receipt in the system to print out, but we were all so excited about finding a code. They didn't have a code in the receipt. because I think for security reasons, they don't want to have that visible. It's just like credit card information. If someone were to dig up transaction history in the system, in the back end, basically in the store. So like, great. So then nothing. But Target makes it good because I told them, no, I'm not about to call customer support for Nintendo. That's ridiculous. I'm already dealing with you guys. Why do I have to go through another layer of customer support? I mean, in my opinion, there should have been a better job at saying, don't forget, when you get these things, hold on to your receipt because that's where the code is that you paid for this full game download. But none of that happened. Everyone's unaware. So they made good by saying, you know what? We'll give you a $20 gift card. You won't be able to use that gift card to buy another one of these, but you'll at least have that $20 gift card so that you can shop around Target for other things. But you can get another one just paying with normal method. And so that's what we did. And sure enough, when we bought the second one, we looked at the receipt and a code was on a receipt. So we made sure, I took pictures of the receipt just to make sure that we don't screw up. And even though they gifted us $20, they said, and you can, if you want to, you can see what's up with that first one to see if Nintendo can help you out. So I'm curious, I load my son's game with that second purchase, but I called Nintendo support regarding the first purchase and I told them what happened and they're like, no problem. You know what? Just, we'll send you an email and there'll be a link. And what we want you to do is take a picture of the receipt you got from the store. So this is the receipt that I would have had reprinted, and then we'll be happy to give you the code for that game, which would have given us another code for the same game, which we can't swap out for a different game. So it would be a redundant code we're not going to use. So it basically means we'd have to just then give that out as a gift for somebody who has a Nintendo Switch, which is not a big deal. But I said, the thing is, I don't have the receipt. They let us walk away without having an actual reprinted copy of the receipt. But I'm like, can't you just track it on your end? Like, on this day, this time, a code was relinquished to a customer who bought this stupid cardboard piece of shit barcode at a Target in this fucking location. And they're like, oh no, we can't do that. Like, well, that's no help. So, okay, so basically, well, bottom line is, value-wise, we got something back because Target made good, something that you've not been able to do, right? I didn't say that yet, but I said, okay, forget it. Can we move on to something else? Second thing is I wanted to follow up on something that I did back in March, right? And he said, the guy's like, I'm here for you. I'm here to help you out. And by the way, his name is Anakin. Who the fuck names their kid Anakin? That's a bullshit name. So it's right there. I'm thinking they're shady. They're hiding. Why would you freaking hide? When I did support, I told him who I was. I didn't make up no bullshit name. Anakin. Fuck you, Anakin. You and your Jedi powers. So anyways, I do this thing. I said, hey, so back in. My son has a Switch. He has this game called Splatoon 2. He likes the game. But then he sees that on your eShop, it has this thing that's called expansion pack. He wanted the expansion pack. So I'm like, cool, I'll get the expansion pack. I pay for it online, and we go for the download, right? And then we try to somehow make that expansion pack tie into the game so that while he does the gameplay, he can have whatever the expansion pack gives him. But it doesn't happen. There's some sort of issue, and it's cryptic. I hate systems with stupid errors that don't tell you exactly what the fuck's going on, right? So dumb. So then I'm like, okay, I just wasted $20 on this stupid thing that's probably incompatible. Maybe it's the fact that we have a cartridge for the game, and this is an expansion pack that's a download. Maybe this expansion pack is meant for a game download. That wasn't the case. What I found out was, the game cartridge that my son has, it came with, we either bought it separately or it came with the console when my wife bought him the Switch for a gift off of Amazon, right? Who knew this? That cartridge was a European cartridge, right? And the expansion pack download is a US download. So that's why there's an incompatibility. And I'm thinking, That's a bunch of horseshit. It makes no difference to the user. It's the game. It plays in the goddamn system. It's the game. You guys are selling some expansion pack online on the same that this fucking console accesses. That shit should work. So why don't you give me an expansion pack that's compatible with the game? I can't do that. So basically, strike two of not being helpful. This is what he suggested. What you can do is you can buy another Splatoon 2 cartridge that's the US version, and then it would work. I'm like, oh, I'm going to spend $50 because you can't fucking help me, right? Or the other one is like, you go to Europe and you do and then you download the expansion pack when you're in Europe. Fuck you! Fuck you, Anakin. Fuck you, Nintendo. Fucking suck my ass while I'm shitting diarrhea, okay? And take that. That's my Splatoon number 2 for you, bitches. So, you know what? Maybe one day we'll come across, like, the Splatoon 2, the US cartridge. No problem. You know, at like some really cheap discount, and we'll use the download. But it is not worth it. I mean, you know, it's just, you know, it didn't make any sense. And I even said, you know what, at least Target tried to help. You didn't really help. You just talk nice to me, you know, because this shit's being recorded. That's all it is. This call may be monitored for quality assurance. You fucking didn't do a shit for me. You just talk nice, you fucking Jedi, and it did not help. So I cussed your motherfucking head off on the phone, and then I apologized because I know you can't control the rules. Nintendo controls the rules. So Nintendo, fuck you.
Thanks for listening to Ruel's Running Podcast with Ruel. If you like what you just heard, share it with your friends and your enemies. Also, be sure to check out the site over at ruelsrunning.com. This has been another Coffee with Heavy Cream production. Join us next time for another silly show of Ruel's Running Podcast.